Hiya, I just want to talk to you today about using Xero for your credit control within your organization. Um, so one of the first steps that you need to make sure you do is to ensure that your bank is fully reconciled, to make sure that your outstanding debtors is fully up to date. So you would go through and make sure that there are no outstanding receipts that need to be matched off to invoices. So I'll not go through that today as part of this video, but it's just to ensure that you know to make sure that your bank is fully reconciled, so that your debtors are most up to date. So when that's all done, then we run our aged debtors report. There's a couple of options within Xero. There's the detailed aged receivables report, and there's the summary. Our preference is the aged receivables detail. So you can actually go ahead and favorite that one. So when you hit the blue star, that means that it comes up in your favorites here, so it's easy accessible. There's it there. So we'll go ahead and open that and run our aged debtors report. So when you open this up, it's really good that it defaults to today's date, and you can see then that it breaks down your debtors into invoice detail and splits it out over the outstanding months. A quick update that I'll do is if you go to report settings and add a total column and just update that, it just brings a total column in here so you can see that what the total is across the board. So obviously you wouldn't worry too much about anything that's within your credit terms. It's probably these older columns that you will focus on firstly. So you might chase some of these debtors here, for example. So it's a really nice way of just seeing your aged debtors report, and you can sort of work through that on a regular basis then. So once you know then which debtors that you want to chase, we'll go ahead and first step, what we'd recommend after this is probably to send out your statements so that your debtors are fully aware of their outstanding debts. So we'll go ahead and run a statement. So what I normally do is just to duplicate that screen so it keeps that report there for you, and then we'll run the statements then in a different screen so you can come back and compare if you wish. So if you go into then your sales overview, and then within here you can see that there's a button there, send statements, and then the one thing you just need to be aware of is this always defaults to the previous month end. So you obviously want to have your debtors most up to date, so we'll change that to today's date and hit update. Another bit that you need to just check is the statement type. So you have two types: the activity, which basically shows you all the activity within that account, which is not the purpose of this current statement that we want to send out to suppliers. Customers, we want to advise them of their outstanding bills. So we'll just leave that at outstanding. So that's basically just going to show them the outstanding invoices that are due to us. So we'll hit update, just refresh that again. And it's nice and clear. You can clearly see then within our credit terms, these are all overdue. So a nice, quick and easy way to send them out is to just select the companies which you want to send out, and just hit your email. And the great thing is that it highlights if they don't have an email address. Everyone here has an email address, which is great. And then as you go on down, then you can just check that your basic your template that you can use, which is this here. So this is, we'd recommend probably the first contact. You know that it's just a basic statement, email just to advise that they're overdue and that you'd appreciate their earliest response. Now, if there was someone within that group that you wanted to send that maybe were more overdue, that you wanted to send a harsher email potentially, you can just cancel that. And for example, this larger debtor, you might want to send them a specific email just to advise them of their overdue invoices. You would just deselect that and then hit email and then just hit send, and that would just automate the email out to those 4 customers. And then what you would do is you would just deselect them and then select the company that you want to customize your email, hit email statement, and then you would just customize this here section specific to that customer. So once you've sent that out, then You may follow up with a phone call just to check they've received it. If they have any invoices they need copies of, which then you would have to either email them invoices out again to the supply customer, and just check that there's any problems. So with those communications, then they might advise of problems with the invoices or expected payment dates, an example. And there's a good wee feature, just if you go back into your sales overview, just to record these conversations that you've had with your customers. And if you go into your overdue invoices, you'll see then the expected date column. And if you just hover over that, you can see add date and notes. So for example, Marine Systems, if we wanted to add a note, you might add a note that they will pay by the end of July. An expected payment date, we'll just put that down as that and hit save. So you will see then that has been updated and it is advised then expected payment date, so that allows you then to follow up at some stage then to make sure that has come in. So that's a useful wee feature just to keep track of these conversations that you have with your customers. So that's most of the features within Xero. One thing I haven't mentioned, just that it's best practice that you set up from the get-go anyway on your account, is invoice reminders. So to set up your invoice reminders, you go into your settings and then on into your invoice settings. So we recommend to our clients that they set these up. They're just gentle reminders, just to keep it in forefront of your customers' minds that they must pay you. So you can set these up to align with your credit terms and how often you want to email out. This is probably a good template, 7, 14, 21. You can add up to 5 of them, so you might then add in a 28 day. So that brings it up to a full 30 days, for example, after their overdue date. And then you might bring in maybe say 40 to 45 days, for example. That would bring it in then to the second month that they're overdue. So that you can have up to 5. You can set that up to as many days as you want. Another good thing is that you can switch on then this function here. So for example, if you don't want to chase people for £100, depending on your organisation, you can set that so any bills under £100 won't be chased automatically. So go ahead and save that. So that's really useful. And when you have that switched on, and obviously when you've chased an invoice by phone call, by statement, and you've had a chat with your customer, and you don't want Xero to automatically then chase this invoice, for example, because they've advised you when they're paying it, so you don't want the automatic reminders to continue to send to that customer. It's easy to switch them off. All you would do then is select the invoice and switch off the reminders. So that's specific to that invoice, which means then that doesn't continue to send those automatic reminders to that customer, because you've already agreed when that would be paid. So I hope that's been useful. A few wee features within Xero that helps you with your credit control process, which is extremely important in these days. And it's good to create those relationships with your customer and have those templates set up to automatically remind your customers when they're overdue, and how you can communicate further with your customers then with your statements, and how to follow up that and keep records within your Xero account. All very useful in your credit control process. So I hope that's been useful, and if you have any questions as ever, feel free to reach out to us at the accounting office, and we'll be happy to have a call with you. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.